Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Sai. I would like today to share with you one of the biggest Yesoidus, at least that I've heard from the Mashgiach, which he builds so many topics in Torah on this one Yesoid. And it's Mamash Yesoid Kol Torah Kula. It's one of the pillars that the world stands on. Okay? Chazal say, Al Shlosh Dvarim Olam Oimed, Al Torah, Al Avodah, Al Gemilas Chasadim. So Avodah, Chazal tell us today, is Tefillah. And it's one of the pillars of the world. We all know that. And we have to understand that tefillah, in its glory, was noticed or was mentioned by Chazal in this week's parasha. Like the glory of tefillah, the power of tefillah, the most awesome tefillah Klal Yisrael could have reached was in this week's parasha, when they were bitzar, when they were in a pickle, to say the least. When the pasuk says uparoi hikri vayisu b'nei sosei neim, they raised up their eyes, they were terrified, vayitzaku b'nei Yisrael Hashem, and they cried out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Chazal mamish, have an arichas in the Medrash on this pasuk, on this unbelievable tefillah of Klal Yisrael, and it's chazed over every year, midor ledor. This is the tzedakah of Bnei Yisrael. Tofsu umnas avoisam. They chapped on the umnas of the ovis. Vavramu oimer la mokem asher amat sham, says Rashi, beyitzchak lasuach basad b'Yaakov v'ivga b'mokem. They reached the tefillah of the ovis, and that's the most miyuchadik tefillah by the Rabbeinu Shalom. And on, Chazal are meshabeach this tefillah. And Rabbi Sai, we have to share with you the elephant in the room question. And that is, in English at least, this is the Mashgiach's Kasha, and he says, "My maila, what's the grace and maila of this tefillah? L'chura, there is no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole. What's the big deal? They were stuck. Who else are they going to turn to? Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu." And this is the question that the Mashgiach, Rav Leuchter, starts his whole maracha on tefillah. I have it in Hebrew. They give you the PDF on the website, Me'adas. You can print the PDF for yourself. I have the Hebrew copy. And it's also in English. Mashgiach wrote a sefer in English, Tefillah, creating a dialogue with Hashem. You can buy it in the farm stores. Very thin sefer, very small sefer. Unbelievable read. Truly an unbelievable read. And it'll give you an opening, a new idea of what Tefillah is based on. And it's mamish based on this one Yisoid. What was the big deal of that Tefillah? And we have to understand the Mashgiach is very busy trying to go against the current, if you want to say that. We think that tefillah is a maila it's contradicting, the musig of koichi va'otzim yadi. There's a whole mahalach in the world, the goyim. There's a whole mahalach, and we have to be very careful from that. Not to fall into the trap of koichi va'otzim yadi. So that's why Ki'ilu we have a reminder 3 times a day to daven, and we realize that it's nothing to do with koichi va'otzim yadi. It's the Rabbeinu Shalom, and that is the background, if you want to call it, of tefillah. And the Mashgiach wants to challenge that. He wants to challenge that notion simply from this parasha. From this week's parasha, you can't say that. You can't say that it is koichi va'otzim yadi. They were davening because of koichi va'otzim yadi. They wanted to uproot this notion of koichi va'otzim yadi. There was no koichi va'otzim yadi alayam. They were surrounded. They were trapped. And you can't tell me that the mile of tefillah is emuna because there's no atheist in a foxhole. So we have a double-edged sword in front of us. We don't understand what tefillah is all about. Is that fair? This is a fair observation. We have a double-edged sword. If you tell me tefillah is coming to uproot the notion of koiche ba'otzim yadi, Rabbi said there is no koiche ba'otzim yadi going on in this parasha, right? They're not building their emunah and saying, no, ich bin a gurnish and I can't do anything. It's only the Rebbeinu Shel Olam that gives hatzlacha and parnasa and whatever. They're in a matzav of death. They don't know where to go. They're not struggling with the idea of koiche ba'otzim yadi. And me'idach gisa, don't tell me that they, such a great tefillah, that they turned to the Rebbeinu Shalom for their salvation. They had nobody else to turn to. There was nothing going on over here. They were stuck. There is no atheist in a foxhole. So Mamela, the Mashgiach, boys always say yesod like this. And he says it's the yesod of tefillah, and for us it's mamish the yesod of Judaism. Okay? Kol HaTorah Kula rests on this yesod. Really. If it's education, whatever you don't want, you can come back to this yesod. It's literally what the word means. It is a foundation of all the subjects of the Torah fall into this one powerful yesod. And he really bases it on the Mesilas Yesharim. Mesilas Yesharim, in one of the less famous prakim, all the way at the end, Perek Yutes, he talks about tefillah. And he says that tefillah is a du-siach. It's a conversation back and forth. Noise v'noisein with the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. And you have a din udvarim with the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. And he, extrapolates this idea in a practical sense. What does it mean to be noise v'noisein with somebody? To handle with somebody? You can't handle with somebody if you don't have a subject where you're both discussing. Now you have your approach to the subject, and I have my approach to the subject. But if we're not handling the same subject, there is no discussion. For example, you can't have a dentist, sitting with a real estate investor. They're not talking the same thing. They're not talking the same language. They have to be on the same page. So what is this same page? And here comes the Chiddush by Chris Yamsuf, and I'll end with that. That's the main Chiddush I wanted to share with you, which is, again, a yesod for life in all areas, really in all areas. And the secret here is that we stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu with, the same subject line. And that subject line is, I, quote unquote, the Rebbeinu Shel Olam, am interested in you. You, Klal Yisrael, have a special place by me. I have a personal interest in your success. I have a personal interest in your growth. I have a personal interest in your education. I, quote unquote, kaviyachol, have a personal interest in your life. So now we have something to talk about because it's my life. So now you have a personal interest in my life. Now I have my idea of what my successes will look like. So I present that to you. And you have your idea of successes in my own personal life. And there are now two sides. And the Rebbeinu Shel Olam, Beroiv Chazdoi, is willing to engage in this conversation 3 times a day. So what was the Chiddush by Chris Yamsuf? There's no atheist in the foxhole. The pshat is that Klal Yisrael reached such a high madrega of emunah that they believed that even when there's nowhere to turn, nowhere to go, nothing, no salvation that is visible behind Alma, like they couldn't imagine being saved. They stood betfila with a tzedakah, which is one of the forms of tefillah, proclaiming, Rabbeinu Shalom, even in this terrible matzav, I believe that you have my best interest in mind. You have my best interest in mind, even in this matzav. That, Rabbi Isai, is a big chidush. In the absolute despair, in the most terrible situation, the Rabbeinu Shalom has my benefit in mind. He wants to teach me something. He wants to educate me, right? He wants me to grow. He wants me to become bigger, right? That's how you make somebody big. You push him down, right? When you work out, right? You make more weight, makes it harder for you to lift, and you pick that up, you become stronger. So the Rebbeinu Shalom puts weights on you so that you become bigger, so you become stronger, become smarter. The Rebbeinu Shalom has our interest. And the Chiddush Alayam is that even in the worst case scenario, like by Rebbe Akiva, I just heard this from the Mashgiach this week. I was blown away by this Chiddush. Everybody knows this Gemara. The Gemara says that Rebbe Akiva was taken out lahoirig to be killed, and he was killed in a terrible, terrible way. And the Talmidim, before he was killed in front of their eyes, they said, Ad Kan Rabbeinu, Ad Kan Rabbeinu. And the Mashgiach said that, many people maybe don't learn the Gemara the way he wanted to do. I don't know why. I wasn't sure exactly, what his kasha was, but his main point is that the main point of the Gemara is not the answer, which everybody famously knows the answer, that no, kol yomai hitzta'arti, I was bitzar that I was never makayim the mitzvah of b'chol nafshecha. Now I finally can do it, b'chol nafshecha, I give up my life for Krishma. But the Mashgiach was learning that the main part of this Gemara is the Ad Kan Rabbeinu. The Talmidim said, really? Even now, there is a musig. There's what to do. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants something from you. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants your benefit. You're being killed. You're about to be killed in cold blood. Ad Kan Rabbeinu. That was the Mashgiach's cook on that Gemara. Is that even now, there is what to learn. Even now, you want me to grow. Even now, you want me to become big. I'm about to die. They're going to kill me. Zok Rebbe Akiva, yes. I want you to reach heights, even in such a matzav. Even in such a matzav. It reminds me of something that my Rebbe, Rebbe Brazil, also said a bunch of years ago, when we had the massacre in Har Nof, and that was a terrible, terrible situation. And the question the Mashgiach asked was very simple. Who won? A bunch of animals walked into a shul in the middle of davening. Shmona Esrei, Oy Midl Fnei HaMelech, Melech Chai V'Kayim, Avinu Shebashamayim, Melech Kol, the strongest, the king of all kings. And people were butchered, dead, immediately, in cold blood, and dirty, and shreklecha maisa over there. What was that? Who won? And he stelled a medrash that says, "Afufuni chevlei mavasim tzari shol metzuuni tzari v'shem Hashem ekra, u'v'shem Hashem ekra." What zok the medrash? What does it mean? U'v'shem Hashem ekra. Yeah. It says Eilu v'rech v'eilu asusim. Right. What's the v'shem Hashem ekra? He says she'anu oimrim baruch dayinu emes. Is that when somebody dies, we make a bracha on that. We make a bracha on that. That means that even in Misa, there is avodas Hashem. Anu mevarchim baruch dayinu emes. We make a bracha of baruch dayinu emes. Yes, there is. It hurts, and it's Ad Kan Rabbeinu, and it's terrible, and we have a kasha on our emunah, if you want to call it that. That hurts. But it's Ad Kan Rabbeinu, and the answer is yes, Ad Kan Rabbeinu. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to grow Ad Atipa Achroin until the last molecule, the last minute. So that is the Yisoid over here, Rabbi Isai, the Yisoid of Tefillah, the Yisoid of Kol HaTorah Kula, and it's learned out from Kriyas Yamsuf, and that will be enough for today. Kol Tuv.